Hey guys, what's up? This is Meathead Mikkel from meatheadgaming.com, and today we're going to continue the Permafreeze wizard video with some Diablo action. So, one of the comments from the last video was that you can't lock down elites like you can trash mobs. It doesn't work as well on elites and bosses and things like that, and that's true. At least with the kind of gear that I have and my level of gear, I can't lock them down 100%. But I can still lock down Diablo a fair chunk of the time to the point where he's doing very negligible damage. So I'm not going to explain everything from start to finish. I'll link the Permafreeze video in the description below, so you guys can go ahead and watch that. It kind of explains a lot of my skill choices. But real briefly, let's just go ahead and look at the skills. So for this, I am going to be using Glacial Spike. And by the way, gear-wise, I'm using Frostburns and Azurath, as usual. The rest of the gear doesn't really matter. It's mostly just survival gear. I took my damage down to 56k and really boosted my toughness. And I'm testing this on Torment 3. So, before you guys get all crazy and say, well, you have a lot of toughness and very little damage, why does it take you so long to kill Diablo? Hold on. That's not the purpose here. The purpose is to show you guys how this works, because I've gotten multiple comments on the last video, people saying, why is your damage so low? And I mentioned several times it's because I'm testing. So I'm just testing, chill out. Anyway, so the main things is, it's going to be Frostburns, it's going to be Azurath. I kind of talked about how this combination works with proc coefficients, things like that. And I'm also using cooldown reduction. I'm getting part of that from Paragon points. So got my cooldown reduction here. And I also have cooldown reduction here, and I believe that's pretty much all the cooldown reduction I have. That's just so that I can spam Frost Nova and mirror images a little bit more often. But anyway, I'm going to be using Magic Missile, Glacial Spike for this. If you want a higher damage output, you could use anything here. Frozen Orb will have a 13% proc coefficient. Ray of Frost, I would use Numb, actually, because all of these except for Sleet Storm have like a 55% proc coefficient, and this, on top of that, this also has a chance to freeze, but I'm not going to use it in this video, just because I want to show you guys how this works with Magic Missile. So Magic Missile, Glacial Spike, it's going to be a guaranteed freeze, plus Magic Missile also has, I believe, like a 93% proc coefficient, so it's going to proc a freeze pretty often. And I'm going to be using mirror images, extension of will, to make them last as long as possible. Let's see how long they actually last before I can cast them again. So they should be popping right about now. Yes, so I get about a second of downtime before I can cast it again. And I'm going to be using Frost Nova Cold Snap for increased freeze duration and reduced cooldown. So I'm going to be able to spam this fairly often as well. Not all the time, but often enough. I'm going to be using Ice Reflect because when Diablo hits me, I want the Frost Nova. This procs a lot. You can use Frozen Storm, but this is actually not going to work nearly as well as Ice Reflect because it does not proc that often. And these other ones are kind of useless if you want, freezing procs. So got that, and then also Hydra, Frost Hydra. I explained why, even though Hydra has a 0% proc coefficient, the chill effect from the Frost Hydra actually bypasses that. So you'll still get freezes just from that, and that's like a 100% chance. So, if you have 41 here, I believe it's something like 41% chance to freeze. I'm not sure, but from just observing the testing, that's kind of what it looks like. In terms of passives, freebie, put whatever you want there. I'm using Evocation just so I can spam it a little bit more. And yeah, I'm also using Familiar Icicle because every time I attack, the Familiar is going to attack, and it's got a 35% chance to freeze. So this is about as frosty as you can get with a build like this. Basically, I'm just going to be casting this, I'm going to be casting Hydra, and I'm going to have mirror images, and we're just going to be spamming all sorts of stuff. So let's see how well I can lock down Diablo. And the big thing to note here is going to be spell rotation. So I do believe that it's going to be possible because I kind of looked at some of the gear that's available, you know, at 70 and some of the rolls that you can get. And I think with some combination of cooldown reduction and, you know, certain items and a certain attack speed, you will be able to get, if not 100% lockdown, then very, very close. I'm not going to be able to do that here, but I can still get pretty close just with kind of like smart cooldown rotation. So first we're going to go through the skills. And let's just see how often, you know, he gets frozen just from hitting me. So I have my Ice Reflect on, so, you know, I don't want to go through that one. Let's see how often he actually gets frozen just hitting me. So that's just Ice Reflect. And that's a pretty decent, like every time he hits me, you know, it's a nice little effect. So now, let's see how often Hydra freezes him. I'm going to avoid him and just have Frost Hydra freeze him. Then I'm going to combo these things together. So, decent rate, you know, it's nothing crazy, but the Frost Hydra's doing a pretty good job. And there does seem to be a, you know, point in time where once you freeze him too much, like for a few seconds or so, like he just can't be frozen. And I don't know if that's true, but it just seems that way. So now let's just see what it looks like when I'm doing just Magic Missile and Familiar. Let's just spam this and see how well this works. So he gets locked down a fair amount just doing this. Just spamming these two. Because I have a guaranteed freeze on, you know, Magic Missile, Glacial Spike every few seconds, but then, you know, because it does have a chill effect, I believe, it will also, you know, freeze him on top of that. And then, of course, my Familiar attacks every single time I do, so we get more freezes that way. So there's that. Now, let's start comboing these things together and see what we can do. And we're just going to kind of proc everything. So we're going to have all this. Once he comes off a freeze, I'm going to, probably shouldn't have popped that Frost Nova. But I'll show you guys how you can basically just rotate your skills. Like I'm going to freeze him here, and then I'll pop Mirror Images, and they're going to freeze him immediately after that. And keep Hydra up at all times. So, alright, I'll use my Nova here. They should pop some kind of Nova soon. I'm going to pop a Nova, they're going to freeze him. Cool. Now I'm going to freeze him. So a lot of it is really also just rotating like your Frost Nova and kind of timing it with your Mirror Images Frost Nova, because they're going to cast it too. So, and if you get the rotations correctly, you know, you just, it takes a little bit of kind of timing, and you're going to have to practice to get it right, but you can get, like, freeze, freeze. And then, yeah, for a little bit he's not going to be frozen, but this is what I'm talking about. This, I think, at one point, he just gets frozen so many times that he just won't be frozen for a couple seconds. So it's not permafreeze, but as you can see, I mean, I'm taking him out of action for a very long time. And he's probably going to get frozen just hitting me here. Or should anyway. Yep, there he is. So there's another freeze. There's another freeze. There should have been another freeze. So let's see if we can do this a little bit better, timing-wise. So I'm going to start out with just Frost Hydra. That'll be our first freeze. And then I'm going to Frost Nova, and immediately after that cast Mirror Images, so they're going to freeze him. And then I'm going to Frost Nova again. And I'm going to try to get my Icicle to freeze him, which I don't think works as well. But they should freeze him. Yep. And then... So you guys can kind of get the idea. It's going to be some spell rotation, and the more cooldown reduction you have, the more often you're going to be able to spam these spells, and I think you can get to a very, very good rate of lockdown where it's not completely 100%, but like he freezes basically mid-hit, just like he did right there. So he gets a little bit of movement in, like he did right there again, but it's not enough to actually do any damage, and so effectively it is 100% lockdown. So there you go, guys. That's that's what it looks like on elites. And you could use this with Sleet Storm, Ray of Frost. It's up to you. But I wanted to make this video really quickly just to show you guys what it looks like on a boss. And even though it's not 100% lockdown, it is still pretty significant. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thumbs up if you liked the video. It helps me out. And I'll see you guys next time.